Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Deku loved only one part 1. If you guys enjoy this what if and want to see part 2, comment down below and let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content and leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also share this video with your friends and check out the description in my playlist. The author of the story 𝐒𝐿9 from Wattpad. So let's start the video. Wednesday //750. Good morning, Bakugou. How are you? You happily greeted to the dusty blonde-haired hothead who just entered the school building. It had been a week after your first day of school at UA along with a few other students. I forgot when the UA attack happened, but let's say it have not happened yet. You were lucky you have been placed in class 1A where you sat beside Bakugou. The boy was always angry at everyone, and you were no exception. Yet you kept greeting him and to everyone who passed by you happily no matter the weather or situation. Even strangers were included. You were known as the happy-go-lucky sunshine of class 1K. He clicked his tongue in annoyance. It's shitty, now that I get to see your stupid face. Rude. You laughed, brushing his insult before Bakugou noticed the plastic bags you were carrying. There were a ton of them. In a matter of fact, you weren't carrying your bag, which meant that you already have arrived at school earlier than him. He rose a brow. Why are you carrying those 𝐒𝐻? He asked before continuing. Not that I care though. Don't worry, it's nothing to fret about. Some students from other courses and rooms asked me to buy these for them using their money. You innocently replied. Bakugou frowned by the answer. What? Don't they have legs and arms or something? You chuckled lightly, unknowingly making the young boy's heart skip a beat. It's okay, Bakugou. I started this 2 days ago, so I'm making a habit out of it. Besides, I think of it as a light workout. You smiled, sending warmth to his heart. The innocent fact that you had started this 2 days ago made the blonde clench his fists lightly. Unbeknownst to him, he actually wanted to give the bastards a lesson. But his pride couldn't care less. Whatever. He grumbled before heading towards class 1A's room. He parted his way from you feeling a slight twinge of regret because he didn't help you. A huge part of him wanted to turn back and help you, but he was blinded by his ego. And so, the day continued. You just returned to the room with your hair tied up. The heavy load of packages had made you sweat lightly, but what made you forget about that was the sight of the girls. Earlier, while you were busy handing over the goods, your classmates have slowly packed the room up. 𝐿/N. Morning. Mina exclaimed, waving at you. The girls of your class were in a group, probably talking about school, quirks, or anything else of that matter. Morning. You grinned, heading towards them. Where have you been? So you asked. Errands. You shrugged, smiling. You and the group soon then chatted and catched up with stories and conversations that were mainly from Hagakure, Mina, and Uraraka. It had only been a week after you guys met, yet fortunately you all were practically close, as if you all knew each other for months. Meanwhile, Bakugou longingly gazed at you. It was originally supposed to be an innocent quick glance, but one point led to another. He couldn't help but be captivated of you too. 8K. It was originally supposed to be an innocent quick glance, but one point led to another. He couldn't help but be captivated of you. You were just so different from the others in his eyes. And he truly didn't know why. Maybe it was because you weren't afraid of him, yet it wasn't in an intimidating kind of way. Or maybe because you were a kind, caring, and selfless softie. 2K. Probably also because you continued to keep up with him using greetings and such despite his hard and hot-headed exterior. It was possibly too because you didn't judge him. He felt like you understood him, so then you didn't push the boy to tell him more about himself. Hey Bakubro. Kirishima called, moving to Bakugou's side. Kirishima was another person who was brave and manly enough to stand up and boldly spend his time with Bakugou. So the both of them were usually found with each other. However, his call went deaf to the blonde's ears as he continued to silently stare at you with concentration. Obviously, the redhead had noticed this, making him gasp in awe and drop his jaw surprised. Kirishima just had to keep himself from showing the bright glimmer in his eyes and the silent fanboying. Fubro. He called him again, but in a much louder tone. This snapped the said boy, making him turn to glare at Kirishima. What the F do you want? He hissed. It was clear as well that he did not want nor liked to be disturbed. The redhead brought his hands in front of his chest. Whoa, easy there bro. Bakugou just clicked his tongue in response, looking away. So dash. Do you like L/N? Kirishima asks in a whisper rather bluntly. He choked by his own saliva before sending him a death glare again. And where did you get that idea, shitty hair? But did he like you though? Just the way how Kirishima have asked it so straightforwardly without hesitation, nor did he may not have think of the outcome as well. However, he knew that it would be worth it. The red-haired gulped, adjusting his collar, already feeling the tension his buddy was giving. Chill bro, I was just asking since you kept on staring at her. Not to mention your eyes softened dash, F off shark teeth. He remarked, feeling heat starting to take over his cheeks. You better not tell this to anyone or else you're gonna have to say goodbye to your sorry but. Bakugou growled. Kirishima looked at him confused. Bakugou didn't exactly give a specific answer. But either way, he never really planned to tell anyone and to keep his mouth shut until further notice. Thursday, //8:25 a.m. Why finished doing the chores you willingly and unnecessarily took, so you went back to your classroom. The school bell had just rung, signaling for classes to almost start. Almost like a preparation. Of course, as class representative, Ida stood up from his seat and settled the class, to which Bakugou had just to reply harshly. It was a normal thing to do every morning, so you headed back to your seat, which was in between Bakugou and Kaminari. A/N. Let's pretend Jiryu sits somewhere else. 3K. Hey Bakugou. How are you? You politely greeted him after greeting Kaminari thoughtfully. Your homeroom teacher, Aizawa Shoda, was always unsurprisingly late. But it wasn't as if you guys complained though. So, taking advantage of that, every day, you were always determined to strike up a conversation to the hot head. F off doll face. Bakugou replied back, hitting your head with a ruler. 9K. However, shockingly, it held a soft but more of a harsh tone. It was as if he did want you to talk to him. Ah, don't be such a killjoy, Bakugou. You teased. What the F did you just call me? He roared. Oh no. Calm down Bakugou, I was kidding. It's only just the first start of the day. You laughed, nervously patting his shoulder. And much to his unknown satisfaction, your touch did seem to calm his nerves. So once your hand left his shoulder, a part of him already yearned for more. Brushing it off, he turned to look at the door that opened to reveal Aizawa. Let's do great today. You cheered, showing a very much motivational smile that jabbed the poor boy in the heart. Bakugou clicked his tongue, looking away, hiding his blush. Third PRD came, and that was Japanese history. Today, I will be giving you a duo assignment where you will be giving a brief introduction of our next lesson, the Heian PRD. This is due until next Monday. Your Japanese history teacher said. Here are your assigned partners. Names were soon then called until you heard your name along with someone else's. Y/NL/N and Katsuki Bakugou. Your teacher says before continuing to call other names. Bakugou's lips turned into a scowl while you happily grinned widely after gasping. You hear that, Bakugou? We get to be partners. You squealed in excitement. You were overly thrilled having the boy as your partner. It will truly be a great opportunity to bond and be closer with him. However, Bakugou's reaction was the exact opposite from yours. Sure, he was happy to have you as his partner since he gets to spend time with you more, but what if he wouldn't be able to concentrate? He mentally slapped himself as he kept on reminding himself to get his SHT together. You better take part with this IT or else I'll beat your sorry butt for it. He lightly bonked your head with his ruler again. But before you could reply, Kaminari beat you to it. In which way, Bakugou? He chuckled before laughing hard with Mineta. 9K. You both flushed in red hue. You both flushed in red hue. 735, screw off dunce face. Bakugou exclaimed before throwing more insults, making the pair laugh again. Mineta, Kaminari. The teacher scolded, making Bakugou smugly smirked, showing a rude finger while you stifled a laugh. Your house? You suggested. Yeah, sure. He successfully answered without stuttering out of embarrassment. After immense support and motivation from Kirishima, Bakugou had finally gathered his cool and courage. You planned to do it as soon as possible, so you proposed to start the work today, since the both of you were free after school. Basically, it will just be the both of you together alone walking to his house. Just the thought of it already warmed Bakugou both in the inside and outside. But of course, with his rough exterior, it wasn't obvious. However, with you being around, it would obviously be much of a struggle to keep his tough act. His day was filled with thoughts, imagines, and reminders of you and himself. The last school bell had finally rung, signaling dismissal. Dismissal was your favorite time of school. Although it just had been much better since you'd be hanging out with Bakugou. You stretched your arms and legs before turning to smile at your partner. "Let's go." Bakugou hummed in response, grabbing his bag to sling it in his shoulder as the same goes to you. As soon as the two of you left side by side, Mina smirked and looked at Kirishima. "Kirishima, I bet $5 L/N will be the first to confess." "3K, bring it," he replied, pumping his fists in determination. Thursday, //420 p.m. Yu and Bakugou exited the school grounds walking side by side. You perked up all the potential topics to him, hopefully making a conversation. However, much to your dismay, Bakugou only replied short and bland or harsh answers. As a result, you decided to keep quiet, thinking that he doesn't want to talk. So you respected him of that. Unbeknownst to you, Bakugou did want to have an actual civil conversation with you. But then it was as if he was cursed ever since to reply such answers that were blunt and straight to the point, which avoided more conversations. What was worse for the both of you was that the silence you both shared was awkward. "Awkward?" you joked. "No," he replied, continuing to uncomfortably look down to the ground and his footsteps. He tucked both of his hands deep down in his pockets since his palms were sweating as F. Of course, he didn't want to show it, especially in front of you. But then you were saved as soon as your eyes spotted in front of a park. You stopped your steps and gawked at it with awe. "Bakugou, Bakugou, can we please go in?" You pleaded, clasping both of your hands together, looking at him. He sighed, clicking his tongue. "Whatever. But you better hurry, dollface." Your eyes sparkled in delight before nodding as you skipped your merry way inside the park. Bakugou followed while grumbling a few incoherent words under his breath. As soon as he found your figure, he felt his world stop for a minute. You crouched, looking at the flower bed, awestruck by the beauty and scent they radiate. It just made you happier, widening your smile. And the sight of that had made Bakugou's poor heart skip a beat, to which you unknowingly never fail in doing so. But then again he brushed it off, like he always do. Although he couldn't help but feel his breath hitch as soon as his eyes laid on you. You continued to admire the flowers, stunned. And he wasn't as far as to what he did as well. Because he was staring at the most appealing blooming flower in the park. And that was you. 3K, the boy didn't even notice how he was gazing at you softly for a long time already. That was when Bakugou moved to crouch by your side, also turning to look at the flowers. "So, what's your favorite flower?" he asked shyly. For K, you snapped away your stare at the flowers to look at him in shock. It was you all the time who had started conversations and topics. And now that Bakugou have finally took a move, you surely didn't want to waste this. You took this as a sign of your improving progress, knowing that you wouldn't give up on him for anything. "I adore F/flower. You chirped, still looking at him. "What about yours?" 2K, he clicked his tongue again. "I don't have any F favorite. Well, I'm sure you'd find the perfect type for you though. Each and every flower has its own meaning or two." Bakugou hummed in response, urging you to continue. "My grandparents loved flowers. They helped me plant my first plant, which was F/flower. You smiled warmly, remembering the memory. "Where are your old hags now?" he asks, mentally taking notes. KU cringed by his nickname towards your grandparents, yet quickly brushing it off. "I live with them at the moment. I also live with my aunt and cousin. But auntie rarely comes home since she's busy, while my older cousin is at a place far away from us for college." You explained thoroughly. Bakugou continued to take notes in his mind. "Your parents?" You flinched, widening your eyes before looking away. "I don't really like talking about them, sorry." This was when Bakugou mentally kicked himself in the guts, cursing under his breath. "I didn't mean to dash," you cut him off, laughing, making the slight tension ease in the air. "It's alright. I should be apologizing to you though for cutting you off." You stood up, patting, fixing your skirt. "Let's go." Bakugou hummed, agreeing before standing up as well. Soon, the rest of the time you both shared walking to his house was completely successful, much to both of your joy. Whoa, Bakugou. You didn't told me you live in a mansion. The boy led you to a huge house. Even the front yard was large. It was crystal clear to you that he was well off. It's not a F mansion, okay? Bakugou rolled his eyes, unlocking his door. He had then opened it, gesturing for you to come in first before him like a gentleman. You thanked him, leaving your shoes by the shoe rack. Bakugou flickered the light 𝐔𝐬𝐽𝐽 on, showing a well-furnished home. Your jaw dropped at his extravagant house. You were the second person he has acquainted with who had been inside his house since Midoriya was first as his childhood companion. Where are your parents? Annoying hag's gonna be back at 7. He replied. Go place your butt in the living room and wait. He grumbled, throwing his bag at the couch. You nodded, sitting on the carpet floor, leaning your back to the couch behind you. Like what Kirishima had reminded him, Bakugou offered you a drink, much to your surprise. Oi, little SHT. Do you want a drink or something? Yes. 1 Kate, thank you for your concern, but I'll pass. You politely reject. I'm not concerned, dollface. He remarked, yelling from the kitchen. Maybe he wasn't as that bad as you thought he would be. You just giggled in response as he arrived back with snacks and a juice that he got for himself. Your eyes went wide when you saw the snacks displayed on the table, while Bakugou took a seat beside you but with distance from you. You took a bite of the snack, letting out an audible, unlike noise. 1 k.bakugou felt himself twitch before quickly grabbing his juice, chugging it, hoping to erase his inappropriate thoughts. 1 k, don't do tea like that, idiot. He growled, looking away as he placed his juice on the table, hitting your head with his ruler. You frowned at him but then brushed it off when your eyes sparkled once again, setting it on the juice. You gasped. Is that F/juice? 3 k. Do you always yell that F loud? He complained when he was far way worser. Rude. You huffed. But can I have some though? You didn't told me it'd be F/J, that's because you didn't ask, dollface. And sure, I'll go and get another dash, but then he was interrupted again when you had taken a sip from the same container of his juice that he had drank. Ah, refreshing. Thank you, you smiled sweetly. Bakugou hit your head with his ruler again before face-palming, mentally thinking and cursing how dense you were for not realizing the both of you had shared an indirect kiss. KF, dense little piece of dash. Are you okay, Bakugou? You asked, concerned. F, he scowled before taking a deep breath. I'm fine. You still looked at him confusingly before continuing to open your notebook. Bakugou did the same, taking out his notes and his laptop that was already set on the table. Soon then the both of you shared ideas and continued to work on your task. Thursday, // 5 p.m. while you were still at Bakugou's house, brainstorming. The both of you had made progress with the work and with your social skills to each other. Surprisingly, Bakugou was actually alright having you beside him. You didn't tolerate and triggered him too much since you listened and followed him perfectly. You'd only ask questions occasionally as well. You were a slightly smart and logical student. But whenever you do, he'd still hit you with a ruler that he has, to which you'd reply with a huff. You stretched your arms. The both of you have finished studying and reading the said lesson, so what was left to do was the planning and creating, indicating that it was a great progress already. Hey, can I have your number? You asked. He looked at you with one of his eyebrows arise. You know, for school purposes. And even if not, I still want it since I see you as my friend now. You smiled cheerfully. Friend. Teased dollface, you should know by now that I don't do those shits. Bakugou hissed. It can't be that bad. Besides, Kirishima's your friend, isn't he? Bakugou just rolled his eyes, to which you just laughed in response, bringing out your phone. We still need to exchange though. He sighed and brought out his phone as well. Here. As soon as the both of you finished exchanging numbers, you two were caught off guard when you had heard a barking of a dog. You turned to your side to see a blonde Pomeranian dog. And on its other side was another Pomeranian, but with the color dark brown. They quickly headed towards Bakugou, who was throwing insults at them despite the clear display of affection given by his pets. Your eyes widened in surprise. You have dogs? Yeah. My shitty dad wanted fur balls. He rolled his eyes but continued to pet and ruffle them. You gasped. Can I pet them? He nodded, handing you the blonde one. You cooed at it, making it bark in delight. You petted it, to which the dog leaned into your touch. You giggled as the brown one also moved towards you as if wanting to feel your touch as well. Bakugou smirked. Looks like the fur balls like you, dollface. They're so cute. You laughed, gushing. Where have they been earlier? Probably asleep. He replied, to which you nodded in understanding. So what's their names? The blonde's a girl, Haruki. And the brown one's a boy, Haruto. He says, staring at you. You gasped. Haruki. A good girl, aren't you? You played, scooshing her in a manner. She barked happily, licking your fingers, to which Haruto also made his way to your lap, barking for attention. We don't want to leave Haruto out now, do we? You laughed, picking up the dog, hugging it while booping your finger on his nose playfully. The sight of you being playful around his dogs in front of Bakugou only warmed his heart more. Even his dogs liked you, and that was quite no surprise at all. You never failed to blend in with people so quickly. So it seemed like you were effective with animals as well. Bakugou laced his arm on his knee, to which he rested his chin on. He continued to adore your happy self, playing with them, taking and admiring in your laugh and grin. The boy never liked animals, and his dogs were no exception. He only thought of them as annoying, loud, furry and smelly beings that only want food and shelter. But for some reason, his perspective changed a little, seeing how his dogs made you a whole lot happier. It warmed his heart to know that you're smiling. However, you noticed his stare at you. You blushed, looking away as soon as you stole a quick glance at him. Truth to be told, you already felt yourself falling for him as each time had passed spent with him. Brushing it off, you and Bakugou snapped back to reality since your phone rang. You scooted both Haruki and Haruto slightly away, bringing your phone out from your pocket to place it on your ear. Hello. Y/N dear, it's almost time for dinner. An older voice from the other line says. Okay, Grandma. I'll be back home soon. You ended the call, turning to look at Bakugou. I need to go home now. He nodded, standing up while you quickly kept your things. You stood up, picked up your bag and gave the two dogs a quick pat before heading to the door, wearing your shoes. Thanks for the time, Bakugou. I had so much fun. See you tomorrow. You chirped, ruffling his hair playfully. Bakugou froze for a second, feeling contact from you. 2K, he hadn't realized how much a physical interaction with someone could feel so addicting. So as soon as your hand left his head, he frowned and surprisingly wanted more of your touch. Back to reality, Bakugou opened the gate for you, to which you walked out and bid him a quick wave in the hand. As soon as your figure faded away, Bakugou closed the gate and headed back inside, where his dogs were there to greet him. He laid his eyes on a certain colored pen. The boy realized that it belonged to you, so he thought that you were a clumsy and silly idiot to forget it. But then, after insulting you in his mind, he decided to give the pen back to you tomorrow. However, a sudden hit of realization had hit him. That was until he groaned and rubbed his face with his hands. He says, I should have walked her home. Katsuki, you forgetful piece of k. His dogs barked at him as if they agreed. Bakugou looked back to his pets, petting them. But it seemed like they also wanted your touch. You furballs Miss Dollface now, don't you? Yeah, well, no, SHT, you guys wanted more of her touch. He grumbled before the memory of you ruffling his hair flashed through his mind. Meanwhile, you continued your walk back home with your earphones plugged in. You were approaching near your neighborhood, so constant familiar people pass by, to which you exchanged greetings with. Because as usual, you always have and you always will. It was a great and politeful habit you had learned to be grateful of. However, despite the occasional greetings here and there, something felt odd. You felt a pair of eyes gawking at you, burning holes behind your back. Feeling uneasy, you turned around to stare at the pair of eyes that disappeared as soon as your eyes locked with the stranger's. Thinking it was a one-time thing, you continued to walk home faster just in case. Because you couldn't help but feel unsettled. Friday, //7 a.m. by Grandma, Grandpa. Call or text me if anything happens. You chirped, bidding them farewell, walking away. They bid you a faint goodbye as well before closing the door. You plugged in your earphones before jamming your favorite music playlist. It was yet another day to go to school. While walking, you reached the same disturbing place. And similar like before, the same stranger startled you once again. You felt uneasy looking away, avoiding his strange and creepy stare. You were fortunate that he didn't follow you. Only looking. Grunting in nervousness, you shook your head, patting your cheeks. You were creeped out, but you tried to not get it into you. And so, you entered the school grounds sighing. L/N. Are you alright? You don't seem like yourself today. Kaminari, who also sat by your side, asks concerningly. What, thief? I'm perfectly fine. You plastered a grin. You sure L/N-chan? Because you keep dozing off, Midoriya joined in, furrowing his eyebrows. They were right, you did feel a bit odd today. And you knew for sure that it was because of the creep who scared you yesterday and earlier today. It honestly gave off the negative vibes. But as always, you never failed to at least give a smile and a greeting. However, it didn't mean that you weren't as perfectly fine as you thought and hoped you would be. And of course, Bakugou noticed this. It started when you came back from your errands, entering the classroom earlier. You still greeted him, but it was fainter. Bakugou was a pretty observant person in terms of competition, especially towards you, whether it involved quirks or not. As a result, he noticed your body was stiff, unlike your usual jumpy self earlier. Although he may not look like it, he keeps on stealing constant glances at you out of concern. And based on what he concluded, your face held distress and fear. It was as if something was scaring you or someone. You were alright the other day, so maybe something happened on your way back home or your way to school. That was what he thought and wondered to himself. Are you okay, Bakugou? You asked after noticing his stare to you. The boy snapped his thoughts before grunting. Of course I am, Dollface. You should be asking your dumbass that though. You rose a brow, wondering if he noticed your unusual self as well. Was he worried? You assumed. That was before he hit you with his ruler like usual. Dumbass. And to which when he did, you quickly thought the opposite, thinking there was no way someone like Bakugou worry for someone in the likes of you. Soon then, dismissal came. The most awaited time for everyone, including you. But that all changed until the creep had appeared. You badly wanted to ask someone if they could walk you home. Although you had second thoughts, thinking how you may bother for them. Your hands were shaking while you put your belongings back to your bag. Bakugou, who was about to stand up and leave, noticed your vulnerable frame. Not only was your body shaking, but so was your breath, haggard. Bakugou felt worried. Not that he'd show it though. And when you accidentally dropped your notebook, the boy then quickly grabbed your belonging before you can. Dollface, are you alright? He asks in a rather surprisingly soft tone, giving your notebook back. You reluctantly gave him a soft smile. Don't stress it, Bakugou. Fine. You lied. You bid him farewell before zipping your bag and stood up, exiting the classroom. His eyes never left your figure until you left the room. Bakugou quickly stood up, wanting to catch you since he wanted to investigate. Hey Baku bro, what got you up quick? Kirishima asks. He growled before rolling his eyes. Screw off. He grumbled before sprinting, leaving Kirishima confused. Your palms began to sweat while you continued to occasionally turn your head left and right. Your once tensed state began to even go worser as soon as the same place that had started everything showed up. You were scared, terrified to be exact. What made the situation worser was the fact that you wouldn't be able to use your quirk since you're scared. You were still working in improving your emotions since you'd have to be a hero, but sadly, you have not perfected it yet. Back to the scene, the same pair of eyes gawked you. You blinked your eyes in nervousness before gulping, feeling your whole body sweat profusely. You continued to walk home, but this time, you didn't wear your earphones. And much to your dismay, the stalker wasn't only looking at you, but is now following you. Your breathing got more uneven as you walked faster. But you weren't fast enough until you felt a hand grabbing you by the arm, turning you to face the man who wore a sinister look. You cried, screaming, hoping to catch attention. Let go, you son of a bitch. Let go, you son of a bitch. 882. You turned to see your savior, Katsuki Bakugou. He firmly grabbed the man before throwing him towards the wall, to which had roughly hit him. Your legs weakened, giving away. Your breathing and shaking changed drastically as well. Tears streamed your cheek, looking at Bakugou, who was kicking and punching the man, refusing to stop while cursing endless lines of profanities. The man had already closed his eyes, unconscious, blood oozing from his mouth and nose. And yet Bakugou continued to beat the SHT out of him without mercy. He wanted him to pay the consequences for touching you, stalking you, scaring you. Bakugou. Stop. Your voice snapped his clouded thoughts before stopping to turn to you. L/N, he approached to your side, to which you replied by hugging him tightly. You sobbed, hiccuping. You clutched on his shirt, making a mess of his uniform, but Bakugou couldn't care less. You needed him, and he had never seen you so vulnerable. So he let you rest your head on his shoulder, leaning towards him while placing a hand on his chest. It's okay, L/N. I'm calling the police. He brings out his phone, dialing. You nodded before muttering faintly, "Thank you, Bakugou," he hummed in response before continuing to rub your back in soothing circles, making you calm a bit down. He's harmless now, L/N. You're okay. I got you. Bakugou kept reassuring you. You reached out for his other hand, to which the boy clutched in response. Dollface, I want you to hold my hand whenever you're scaredy but is afraid. 2K, he spoke it in a rather harsh tone, but the both of you knew well that he meant it to show that he cares. Just in his own way. You nodded while he continued to hush you down, making your tears fade away. Finally, the police had came, cuffing the criminal. They did a quick talk with the both of you, asking questions. Fortunately, you were able to answer them without panic despite the earlier attack that had happened. The police mentioned that the man was wanted for stalking and kidnapping attractive girls, then raping them. Most were murdered brutally, while only a few had escaped to tell the tale. 9K after that, Bakugou walked you home. Bakugou, can you wrap your arm around? You reluctantly asked. The boy looked at you, raising an eyebrow. Why? I'm still scared. You confessed, looking away. Bakugou's gaze softened. After the small silence he gave, you thought he would decline, so you fiddled your fingers. Don't worry, I understand if dash, but before you could finish, his arm had already wrapped your shoulder, bringing you closer. The bold action and close contact made the both of you blush. He looked away, hiding his blush, while you silently leaned to him, wanting more of the warmth he radiated. He successfully calmed you down, and you will be forever grateful for that. The silence you two shared was different from the last one. It was rather comfortable, and you smiled at this. Soon after, the both of you arrived in front of your house. It was like what a regular house would look like. Except that there were fences taller than an average human height, but it was still clear that your house included a front yard and lots of plants. Well, I suppose this is goodbye then. You smiled, pulling away from him hesitantly. He nodded, retracting his arm as well, tucking it inside his pocket. Bakugou ruffled your hair, making you huff and pout in annoyance. But it only made the boy chuckle, thinking it was cute. So, would you be alright heading back to your house? That's easy as F. I can just beat the living CRP out of the dumbfuck who'd attempt to attack the great Bakugou. He smirked cockingly. You giggled. Right, the great Bakugou? That was when you added, you saved my life today. What do you want in return? Just tell me if you're not feeling good, he said in an almost desperate and pleading tone. Because I, Katsuki Bakugou, will never hesitate to protect and save you, a damsel in distress. His infamous smirk widened. You laughed. All right then. But I think it's not enough. Oh wow, that's great, girly. All I wanted was simple and dash. Soon then he stopped when you stepped forward, pressing both of your soft and small hands on his chest for support while you leaned up, giving him a quick kiss on the cheek. It was one of your small ways of relaying fond and appreciation. So in this case, you did it to display a manner of gratefulness. Although to Bakugou, your act entranced him in all the right ways. You gave him a small and cute smile before turning to quickly enter your house, leaving the dazed boy outside. What you did had surprised the stunned boy, and still did. It made his heart skip a beat before beginning to P&D much faster and harder. For the first time in his life did someone's movement caught him off guard. Bakugou took a small step back out of shock, blinking. He raised his fingers to graze the cheek your soft lips once met. He smirked softly, glancing to your house before turning to walk back with his hands tucked in his pockets. Saturday. //1 p.m., a day after the attempt abduction, Bakugou originally planned to cancel the meeting with you for the assignment. But of course, you were persistent, so the both of you would have to meet once again. You were at his house on the living room like before. Bakugou continued tapping on his laptop while you continued designing the folder. Haruto rested on your lap and Haruki rested on Bakugou's. After the incident, the explosive boy even took drastic measures to go to your house and walk you to his. The two of you had gotten closer as well. You'd crack jokes and share stories or rant about random things and Bakugou would still insult you, but you knew that he listened and that he was alright with your rants, to which it was true. Beat that you piece of 𝐒𝐻 because I'm done. Bakugou cackled, gesturing at the work. This made both Haruki and Haruto shot their eyes open by their owner's loud and booming voice. You clasped your hands and cheered. I'm done with the designs as well. Why don't we treat ourselves? Besides, all we need is print and paste and then done. He thought for a while before shrugging. Alright then. Leaving Haruto and Haruki at his house, Bakugou and you continued your walk. You decided where to celebrate, and it was a secret so he just followed you. That was until you stopped in front of a pastry shop. Bakugou rose a brow before scowling roughly. Here we are. Yeah, hell no am I entering. You huffed, crossing your arms. Don't be such a killjoy, Bakugou, besides I'm treating you. He rolled his eyes. Yeah, no need for that doll face cause I'm not eating any 𝐻𝐻 there. You gasped, hitting his shoulder to which had no effect on him. Just join me please. If you'd leave me alone there inside who knows what will happen to me. You fiddled with your fingers, puffing your cheeks. He clicked his tongue, looking away to hide his blush. Whatever? He cursed under his breath for stuttering. You cheered happily before grabbing his wrist to enter the pastry shop. There was a giant and tall purple-haired man by the counter. Murakun, you called out. 𝐻/Enshin welcome back. He lazily smiled. Bakugou cocked his brow, glaring at the giant. You shared nicknames with the worker so you both were probably close. And even if it was just friends, Bakugou can't help but feel slightly jealous. Bakugou, this is Murasaki at Sushi, call him at Sushi for short and he runs the store. Murakun, this is my friend and classmate, Bakugou Katsuki. Nice to meet you Bakugou-chan. 𝐻/Enshin told me about you. He lazily say. He cocked an eyebrow. You talked about him and it made him feel giddy in the inside. Yeah sure. Bakugou scoffed, still glaring at the man impolitely. Sorry about him Murakun, he's usually like this. You scratched your neck, awkwardly. It's alright 𝐻/Enshin what can I get you for today? Brownies and AF/flavor milkshake please. He nodded before grabbing brownies and placed it on a plate, then made the milkshake. Atsushi placed your order on the tray, giving it to you. And before you could hand him the money, Bakugou had already reached it out to the man grabbing the tray and walked away to a free table. The gesture caught you off guard, looking at him before sitting on the opposite side of him. You didn't need to pay for me you know. You said guiltily. Yeah no I'm just paying for your sorry but. You rolled your eyes in a playful manner. Truthfully, Bakugou wanted to show that he does have manners. Although, he was sure to himself that he may only show these to you since you were now entreated as an exception in his eyes. You stuffed in the brownies into your mouth. Bakugou stared at you, resting his chin on his palm. It surprised him to know that he didn't find you disgusting but rather like an adorable chipmunk. Wait, did he just thought of you as adorable? That was when he snapped himself, pulling his 𝐻𝐻 together. Do you want some? You asked picking a brownie. He clicked his tongue. Come on please. You gestured. Bakugou gushed by your cute gesture, wanting to slap himself physically for staring. Because honestly, who wouldn't be captivated by you and just by your mere acts and existence? He clicked his tongue, feeling blood rush through his cheeks before opening his mouth to stuff in the brownie. You giggled, pulling away, happy. Bakugou looked away, not wanting to have you see him blushing while munching the sweet. How is it? Not bad. He angrily scowled when in reality he was flustered. By you. You laughed, warming the already struck boy's heart. Saturday. / 9 p.m. after the so-called date, Bakugou walked you home. You wanted to text him but you knew he isn't as sociable to talk to, but still, you were determined. So you'd have to wait a bit more. Either way, you and Bakugou had gotten even closer. Closer to the point where he had mentioned how he liked spicy foods. That was the main reason why he didn't want to enter the pastry shop, But of course, it seemed as if he'd have to make an exception for you. You plopped yourself on your bed as the only illumination was the lamp on your bedside table. Tucked underneath the blanket, you stared at the ceiling from right above you. Frowning, you couldn't help but feel guilty. Bakugou had adjusted a lot for you. Although you have already expressed your gratitude to him countless of times, you still felt as if it wasn't enough. You nudged him to stall time at the garden, pleaded him to enter the pastry shop, and he willingly rescued you that time. It was all about you, and because of that you felt selfish. Groaning, you turned to the side of the bed, thinking of ways to actually make him enjoy. That was when an idea popped up that made you grin. You quickly grabbed your phone that was resting on the top of your bedside table, turning it on. Opening your messages, you sent a text to the hot-headed porcupine hoping that he's still awake. Usually, the explosive blondie would have already been asleep amidst the time. However, his thoughts wouldn't shut down. It would keep flashing back to you or the time the both of you had spent together. Grunting, he scowled in a much furious way before sitting up and ruffling his hair. "DMNITTTTT. Bakugou exclaimed, frustratingly. "Oi, keep it down, it's the middle of the night." His mom shouted from the distance. Grunting, he cursed under his breath before throwing endless lines of profanities. That was until his phone lit up, letting him know there was a notification. He cursed under his breath before angrily picking it up. Who in their right mind would? "Oh, it's Dollface. I said shut it. F off old H." Somehow, seeing your text had calmed him down but thrilled him at the same time as well. Midline horizontal ellipsis, L/N, are you still awake? Sray in advance if I woke you up, but I want to repay you for everything. DD Bakugou weird SHTY/N Bakugou. 00 you are awake, midline horizontal ellipsis. The boy clicked his tongue, smirking by your gesture. He chuckled. Even her DMN emoticons are cute. He murmured to himself. Midline horizontal ellipsis, Bakugou speak up twerp. What do you want? Y/N are you available tomorrow? I want to go somewhere. Backhand index pointing right, backhand index pointing left. 7K, midline horizontal ellipsis. As if an arrow from Cupid had hit his heart, he looked at the text, surprised. Out of the hundreds of people you have met and befriended in your life, he was given this oh so great opportunity. He cleared his throat, leaning his back towards the bed's head. Midline horizontal ellipsis, Bakugou's fine, whatever, but I doesn't mean I actually want to go dipshit Y/ND. You free at 11. I want to have lunch with you. Bakugou sure Y/N I'm so excited. See you tomorrow. Bakugou. Sweet dreams. Bakugou ha. IDC FCK 8K midline horizontal ellipsis. With that, Bakugou had tried his best to prevent a smile from showing despite being alone. He just couldn't wait for tomorrow. Sure, you both had already went to the pastry shop and to the park, but both were out of coincidence. You guys went to the shop because it was a treat for yourself since he didn't like sweets. Then you two had only visited the park coincidentally because the both of you had passed by it during the walk. Bakugou finally stopped staring at your messages along with mumbling how your emoticons were overly adorable for some odd reason. He then turned his device off, placing it down on his bedside table, and tried to fall asleep as he uncontrollably imagined scenarios in his head with you. Sunday. //11 a.m. In front of the mirror, did you twirl yourself around, admiring the chosen attire you wore? A white sweater tucked in your F/C plaid skirt. You paired it with boots as well. A wide grin was plastered on your face, humming a happy and upbeat song. You tied your hair into a high ponytail before leaving with your black backpack. Opening your phone, you decided to text Bakugou. Midline horizontal ellipsis, L/N Bakugou. _, let's meet at the train station. I'm excited. Whoop, oh, midline horizontal ellipsis. The sound of Bakugou's notification caught his attention. He smiled inwardly, staring at his phone before looking at his mirror one last time. Soon then he started to head towards the station where he waited for you a bit. He tucked his hand on his pocket while the other played with his phone. Not until he heard the call of his name from the familiar voice that his heart yearned to hear one. 6K, not until he heard the call of his name from the familiar voice that his heart yearned to hear. Bakugou! You exclaimed, waving in front of him. He clicked his tongue, successfully preventing himself to blush by the outfit you were wearing. It was the first time he saw you wear a casual one, especially when you were wearing a skirt. So doll, where are we going? He kept his cool. To the mall. You pumped the air. He groaned. What SHT have I gotten myself into? Come on, Bakugou, I want to treat you to a restaurant filled with spicy food. You're into spicy food. Nope. But you are though. You smiled, stepping into the train before Bakugou did. Yeah. No SHT. He muttered. He looked away, glimpsing at the window thinking how you actually remembered a small thing like that. He clicked his tongue, mumbling to himself. Any recommendations, Bakugou? You asked, stepping inside the mall beside Bakugou. Follow. And keep up the pace, doll face, cause I'm not looking for your lost butt. He spat. You laughed. Don't worry, I'm staying here by your side. You smiled. You were way too happy. And this was obvious because you were skipping around with a grin plastered on your face. The boy still couldn't believe that he was walking with you side by side at the mall just because you wanted to treat him lunch. That was when you stopped in front of a shop, catching Bakugou's attention. He looked at you then to your sight of vision. You were gazing at an hair accessory shop filled with headbands, hair clips, ribbons and such. He quirked a brow up. What one? You blushed, embarrassed when you realized you were staring at the shop window. No. It's fine, don't worry, let's go. You quickly pushed him away. He chuckled amusingly. Soon then he stopped in front of a restaurant where there were only a few people around. You looked around in awe. Ah, Bakugou, I can't eat spicy food but don't get your panties in a twist, they have food that aren't spicy. He sat down. 3K, you sat across him, opening the menu that was given by the waitress. Bakugou, can you pick food for me? You puckered your lips. I don't know which one here is yummy. He shrugged. Sure. During the time that you spent deciding what to order, Bakugou found himself enjoying your presence and the time he spent with you. It was always what he felt like with you, even before. What was funny was that he didn't feel like this to anyone else but you. That was when he saw a strand of your hair fall. Tempted to graze it back in, he clenched his fists, using all his willpower to stop himself to do so. When you noticed him staring intensely, you looked up to him. You okay? His eyes softened before giving up. His hand reached out to you, making you freeze in nervousness. That was when you felt his fingers had, oddly enough, softly tucked in the loose hair stands behind your ear. You know, you look much better if your face could be seen much more. Blushing red, you looked down in embarrassment, your heart skipping a beat. Thank you. You whispered. Either way, he brushed it off, raising his hand to order. The waitress came with a notepad this time. Good noon. Are you and your girlfriend ready to order? What do you mean, girlfriend, you piece of ? His voice boomed, startling others. Bakugou. I'm sorry. We aren't dating. You awkwardly shrugged, placing your hand on Bakugou's arm, calming him down. I'm so sorry, it was just that you both look good together and all. You blushed, speechless for a moment, while Bakugou was ticked off despite the blooming pink color on his cheeks. Hey, anyways, your order. She uncomfortably scratched her neck, embarrassed. As you both waited for your order, you played a few icebreaker games with him. Such as Would You Rather, Never Have I Ever, and some more. Of course, it had to take a little bit of persuading him to do so, but Bakugou still did so since he didn't want any awkward tensions. That was when your food arrived. You gasped excitedly, thanking the waitress. As you both ate, Bakugou kept pestering how stupid you looked eating. Although it didn't really bother him. In fact, he actually thinks how adorable and weird it is when your small lips can fit giant towers of food. 1K, especially when you'd still innocently cover your lips meekly while eating as if you hadn't took the huge amounts of food in one bite. Although secretly he wanted you to uncover your mouth and to just be you in front of him. As the lunch continued, Bakugou would throw insults at you to which you'd brush off like usual. After, you clasped your hands together, smiling wide. Thanks for the food. As the waitress placed the bill on the table, you instantly snatched it as soon as you saw his hand reach out for it. Oh, what the F? A tick mark appeared as you put away the bill that had money. I asked you out, so wait, I didn't. You blushed profusely, awkwardly trying to explain what you meant. Bakugou only clicked his tongue, looking away, scowling despite the clear flush of pink scattered on his cheeks. As the awkward tension began to rise, the boy only grabbed you by the back of your shirt before quickly leaving. Watch what you're about to say, dumbass. I didn't mean to. You squeaked, covering your face with your hands. Yes, see your stupid idiot. At the background did the restaurant's workers chuckled and laughed in amusement. I can see their future. Totally ship them. An angry porcupine and an adorable bunny, what an unlikely pair. K.bakugou. Arcade. Your eyes twinkled, pointing at an arcade. He rolled his eyes, grunting before aggressively agreeing. As you happily skipped, Bakugou only kept staring at you from behind. He blushed, mentally thinking how you actually wanted to spend more time with him. The boy thought you only wanted lunch with him, but somehow the bonding had extended. Not that he minded though. Bakugou, I challenge you in an arcade game. Oh yeah, a challenge from a shrimp like you. Then it's easy. He grinned evilly. 3K winner has to give the loser something. You got yourself a deal, dollface. What the F, Heleno? It's okay, Bakugou. Do you want to try again? You genuinely asked. Shut up. And thus did Bakugou had lost to someone like you. It was worse than Deku. Never mind, at least you weren't him, because if he was you, then you'd already be dead meat. It has been the 5th time in a row did Bakugou lost against you in a game of Tekken. Mumbling lines of profanities under his breath, you only sweat dropped worriedly. Bakugou, I could teach you Tekken if you want to. Screw off. He grunted, obviously still humiliated. Hey, this ISF uncalled for. Losing 5 times in a row by my dashed, his thoughts paused. Was he really about to call you his crush? Brushing it off, he turned to look at you, scowling. Whatever, I'll get it next time. You smiled. I know you will. In the meantime, you want to spend the rest of the tokens at the plushie machine. He only mumbled, agreeing as a reply. You nodded before gently grabbing his hand to lead him towards the machine. Although it was a bold act in what seems like to Bakugou's eyes, he knew that you'd do this to anyone considering the behavior you're held. And yet he still finds it that it meant that he was special to you. Back to the machine, you failed a lot, so you wanted Bakugou to try. Feeling his pride go back to normal, he immediately played. Twice did he failed and cursed loudly. But on his 3rd try did he finally won the sushi cat plushie for you. Oi, dollface here. Proudly smirking, he handed you the toy. You hugged the plushie he handed towards you, twirling and hopping like the cute bunny you are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I always wanted this plushie, but I always sucked in these rigged machines. You beamed to him. Blinded by the immense ray of light you radiate, he took a few moments to reply. Whatever, it wasn't that hard, you know. He clicked his tongue, looking away. You only giggled. I'm sure it wasn't. Sunday. // 10 p.m. After walking you home, the blonde hot-headed boy continued his way back home. Once he went back, he immediately received a message from you, to which somehow led to a conversation. Soon dinner came and he unknowingly finished dinner rather quickly. This made his parents confused, but they shrugged it off, thinking it may have just been for schoolwork. Of course, that was until he pulled his phone out to text you. And unsurprisingly, you took 10 minutes to respond since you probably had just dinner. But when he did got the message, boy was he grinning mentally wide. Now, laying on a bed wide awake despite having school tomorrow is Bakugou Katsuki. And he hated you for it. He hated you for you were the reason he couldn't sleep. Because as soon as he closes his eyes would his thoughts make him remember you. Your shitty hair, dumb ass of a smile, eyes, and you yourself in person. All of that made his heart drum annoyingly loud, but it gave him a nice and warm feeling. Not that he had noticed though. Groaning, he flipped his body to the other side of the bed. That was when he just remembered the gift he needed to give you. Sweating profusely, he had no idea what to give you. Especially this would be the first gift he'd ever give to a girl his age, or even to anyone in fact. That was when the perfect idea shone like a light bulb in his brain. Grinning wickedly, he thought to himself, I'm such a smartass. Soon then he arrived at school rather late than usual, but he was still a tad bit early though. Seeing Bakugou, you immediately skipped towards him. Morning. Done with your shitty errands, errand girl? There were only a few, so it was rather quick. You showed an okay sign. Okay, well yeah, whatever. By the way, did you bring our work? You grinned. Duh. Bakugou used an obvious tone. Nice? You exclaimed, giving him a thumbs up. Sitting down to continue the conversation that you pushed up, there were some who noticed the newfound aura Bakugou radiates. They seemed to get along well. Yamamoto beamed. Better than before, right? Kaminari added, smirking. Guess we know who to call to calm Bakugou down. Kirishima laughed. 𝐿/Enchan our savior. I can hear. As class began, Bakugou cursed loudly, making Ida scold him while it made you worry. Are you okay, Bakugou? Of course I am, F dollface. He muttered audibly. You nodded, giving Hin a warm smile. If anything's wrong, just talk to me, okay? What the F? He stares at you in admiration before just brushing you away. But the reason why he cursed loudly was how he had forgotten to give you your prize earlier when there were less people around. Of course it just couldn't be helped, as he was enjoying your conversation with him way too much. Now, especially when the classroom is filled with students. But at least I can show Demon Deku that I'm F bold though. And so after homeroom did he catch your attention before handing over a small box? For your stupid face, dumbass. You remembered. It was just a F day ago, dipshit. Soon then this caught everyone's attention, making them turn towards you both. Bakugou had just gotten you a present. This could be perfect for UA's official news headline. Just the thought of their hot-headed classmate who they barely knew for a month give a present to someone who was the exact opposite of him. What was more was that they knew he would have been the aggressive and tough type. But to think that it would come to this. Then they waited anticipatingly for what was inside the box. 𝐿/Enchan open it. F off round face. You laughed before your hand flipped open the box. That was when curious classmates leaned forward in anticipation, waiting. You gasped in excitement, Bakugou swearing he saw a twinkle in your eyes. Bakugou, you shouldn't have. Whatever, he mumbled. Kaminari, who sat right beside you, saw exactly what it was, however making him excitingly yell. Bakugou got her a clip. A cute one, in fact. Holy SHT, I never knew that this day would come. Midoriya shouted. F off, shitty Deku. 𝐤𝐽 eat dirt? That was before he turned to you, turning his Tsundere mode on 170. That was before he turned to you, turning his Tsundere mode on. Oidamas, do you like it or not? He hesitantly asked in a low voice. Like it? Bakugou, I love it. You beamed, smiling widely. It was a small and white clip in shape of a deer. This was what you were eyeing at the shop yesterday, and you felt all warm to know that Bakugou remembered small things. Yeah, well, you kinda F needed it for you shitty hair. Plus you were glancing at this at the F store before. They went on a date. I took him out to celebrate our finished work. You explained, making them continue to wonder why he even bothered to go out. Then you looked back to Bakugou. So then if I wear this, will I be prettier? You joked. Quickly did he reply in seriousness, yes. Bakugou's such a man. You go, Bakugou. Why did he get a pretty and hot chick like 𝐿/Enchan though? Wait, he exploded into the color red, putting Kirishima's hair into shame. You laughed, shyly tucking a strand of your hair. It's all right. He clicked his tongue. Whatever. And besides, you still look F pretty even before anyways. I do. I meant pretty good, okay? He barked. You only laughed amusingly. Don't worry, I get it. By the way, can you help me clip this on? You want to wear it now? I might never take it off. You smiled genuinely. Gritting his teeth, flustered. Well, guess what you will when you take a bath, dipshit. He snatched the clip aggressively before gently touching your hair, pulling it to the sides, and then clipped it. Leaning back, he immediately choked on his saliva. Does it look good? You smiled adorably. Why? His voice cracked. While you squealed like a child who just got a star stamped on its hand, the others only looked at you both in awe. Looks like they have their first headcanonship in the classroom. Thursday. //5:30 scratching his head in confusion and worry, Bakugou stared at his phone. He was about to leave home before checking his phone to see that there were no messages from you. Usually, you'd text him a good morning or random messages about your morning. Of course, since he got used to it, the blondie felt concerned since you didn't send him anything. Reluctantly putting his phone in his pocket, he went out. At school, you weren't there yet but your bag was, so he felt relief wash over him the least. But somehow Bakugo felt annoyed, as he grumpily sat on his chair. It was probably because he didn't know why you wouldn't text him. Considering that the both of you text a lot nowadays and bond with each other in between classes more often. Of course there was still Kirishima and your girl group, but you both see each other as best friends. Sure, you both don't sit with each other during lunch or recess, but you guys text on those periods secretly as well. To which is why he doesn't know the reason why you wouldn't text earlier at morning. Bakugo. Your familiar sweet voice rang to his ears, making him immediately shot his head up. Morning, oi idiot, why didn't you send me your stupid but text earlier? He slapped your head with his ruler. You gasped before tearing up in joy. So you do read them. You clenched your chest. He clicked his tongue. Of course I do. It was just that, you don't reply early in the morning so I dash, it's just 'cause morning our shit's okay. Next time you're stupid but better text me or else I'll punch you. Bakugo held his ruler threateningly. You flinched before saluting. Yes Bakugo. Bakubro just aggressively cares about her, don't you think? Kirishima chuckled in the background. Obviously. Kaminari shrugged, smirking. All Might, everyone exclaimed as the first-ranked pro hero entered the classroom. Your expression beamed into thrill. You turned by Bakugo's side, to see his eyes twinkle silently. His expression was soft and you knew that he was extremely happy in the inside to see the hero. Especially when you remembered him telling you how he idolized the symbol of peace. All Might laughed, greeting the class with a grin. Midoriya's reaction was award-winning as he trembled in his fanboy jitters, making you giggle. Soon then the hero himself told you all to change into hero suits because a practical test would start. Of course, this pumped up Bakugo a whole lot, so he quickly jolted and left the room. At the changing room, you and the girls complimented each other's outfit. And some also explained why they chose their chosen outfit. Since you need to be agile and quick, your outfit was tight but comfortable at the same time. It hugged your thighs and curves while your hair was tied up in a ponytail. Heading to where the test would be, you and the girls chatted along the way. By the distance were the boys who were already there, waiting. Bakugo yelling while Kirishima held him back, Ida doing his robotic hands, Aoyama unnecessarily shining, Deku mumbling, and basically it was chaotic. That was when Mineta screamed in obvious happiness. CC1A girls are the best. The pervert drooled. Which Froppy slapped to knock some sense into him. Bakugo's eyes quickly traveled and stopped on you. His eyes slightly widened, heat rising to his cheeks. The blondie swore you were the only girl standing there. That was when you turned around and your eyes locked on his. Bakugo! You smiled, calling him. Feeling his heart race, he clicked his tongue, immediately looking away, not wanting his naughty thoughts to cloud his mind. You gasped in awe as you admired his outfit. His biceps were shown and his outfit complimented his chest and abs. Why, you look great. Of course I am, dipshit. He played it cool. Ooh, what's those? You pointed at his grenades. He smirked. You're gonna be in shock when I use this doll face. Your eyes shone. Is it a secret wild card? You bet it is, and it's one hell of it in fact. He smirked. Soon then your conversation was cut off by All Might's booming voice. He told us how there would be teams of 2 by 2. One would be the villains and the other would be the heroes. The villain would have to protect the bomb that's placed inside the building and that the heroes would have to touch it. Soon then the first group was called, obviously picked randomly of course. Team Villains consists of Ida and Bakugo. To which you immediately wished him luck. That was when Team Heroes were called. You and Midoriya. As soon as both of your names were called, the green-haired boy immediately trembled in fear. Concerned, you quickly appeared beside him. Don't worry Midoriya, we can do it. You pumped your fist. Still shaking, he only hesitantly nodded. Thanks L/N-chan. Teach, Bakugo clicked his tongue in the background. He certainly didn't like the scene at hand. Out of the people would you have to be paired against him along with his childhood enemy. Gritting his teeth in anger, he glared at Midoriya intensely, to which the boy only shook more in fear. After you and Midoriya shared ideas and expanded the plan, you both entered the building cautiously. That was when Bakugou had suddenly came before blasting an explosion. Midoriya grabbed you and jumped away from the explosion, making you both fall back from the action. And as soon as Bakugou swinged his arm to make the smoke disappear, he felt sick watching an unpleasant scene in front of him. Midoriya was on top of you while you were below him, as his legs were tangled with yours. Your teammate quickly stood up while you did as well. 𝐿/Enshin, are you okay? I'm fine. That was when your eyes widened at his half-ripped mask showing a bruise on his cheek. Midoriya, don't worry, it's just a scratch. Midoriya stood in front of you protectively, making Bakugou to only grit his teeth in anger. Soon then a fight escalated from both of them, making your teammate shout at you to leave. A few minutes passed and then you and Ida were facing each other. Distracting Ida for a bit, you waited for Midoriya's signal, hoping that it wouldn't be too long before you'd lose your stamina. But that wasn't until a sudden blast from below had created a hole until from up above. Even though you and Ida were surprised by the sudden attack, you didn't waste time and jumped to hug the fake grenade just in time for the time to end. Ida, you did really well, thank you. But I need to check on Midoriya and Bakugou though. See you. Quickly did you head towards the floor where the blast came from. And as soon as you entered, Midoriya was badly injured while Bakugou had an unreadable expression on his face. Midoriya. You approached him, crouching since he was on the floor. Bakugou, who was clearly losing his faith, twitched his eyes in anger. Frustrated, he clenched his fists seeing how you held Midoriya, checking his injuries. You were supposed to check on him, not his childhood rival. At least that was what Bakugou thought. The fact that it just had to be him boiled his blood. Finally the medic came quickly, heading to support Midoriya. When your eyes laid to Bakugou's, his gaze were already on yours. While your eyes were soft, his were angry. Bakugou! You called out. But him being him, he only clicked his tongue, ignoring you, and left as well. You bit the insides of your cheek in concern. It was quite obvious that you had to approach Midoriya first since he was badly injured. But a part of you had actually hoped that you should have approached Bakugou earlier. With a heavy heart, you sighed loudly before leaving the room. Tuesday, //11:50 p.m., Bakugou. You entered the medic's room cautiously. Your eyes laid to Bakugou's, who was only looking down. He sat on his bed with his knees slightly meeting his chest as his arms rested on them. After having quick patches on your cheek and arm, you quickly headed to the infirmary. But you were only greeted with silence from Bakugou. Frowning, you slowly approached the bed he was in and sat on the end. I'm sorry if I did something wrong. And I don't know what may have happened, but I apologize for that too. Stop apologizing, it's not you demon fault dollface. He grumbled, still not looking at you. You turned your sight to him. Are you okay? He clicked his tongue. Of course I am. No, I meant on the inside. You scooted closer. Bakugou's head rose up, staring at you dead in the eye. But you saw his expression softened when he did show you his face though. And yes, he did went soft when you actually thought how he was emotionally. That was when he furrowed his eyebrows as his face contorted into worry. Oi dollface, you hurt your cheek? He grumbled. The question caught you off guard, but you only laughed, scratching your neck. Well, Ida punched me in the face, so yes. Four Eyes did what? He shot up, shouting angrily. Bakugou. Shoo, you calmed him down after he yelled profanities. That piece of C just asked for it. No. It's fine. Besides, you have more injury than I do. You chuckled. I don't give two shits, cause that effer hurt my shirtass of a best friend. 1K, you gasped in awe as your eyes shone in delight while your lips curved upwards to a big smile. So we're best friends? You squealed, scooting closer beside him. He clicked his tongue, looking away, trying to prevent his blush from the close contact. Well, I said so, didn't I? You cupped your cheeks with your hands, shaking your head, blushing as well. I can't believe we're buddies now. Yeah, you're stupid but is lucky to have the great Bakugou to be your best friend. Little did you know, he was glad that you visited him. Maybe it was because you successfully uplifted his spirits in ease. Either way, whether you talked to him or not, knowing that you were there with and for him calmed his nerves just a whole lot. Walking back to class side by side, you both shared a comfortable silence or small talks. Opening the door, there was All Might in front of the class. Young Bakugou, young L/N. Most of the girls in the class fangirled silently, grinning while most of the boys smirked proudly. It was obvious that the reason was because you both came in together. Screw off extras. Bakugou shouted, to which you immediately scolded him for. As dismissal came, Midoriya has not came back for the rest of the PRD earlier, meaning that he was still unconscious. Bakugou, are you heading out early? You asked, seeing him stood up from his seat. Yeah, I need to get my SHT together. You coming? Ah, I wish I could, but the girls already asked me to come with them to the mall. Losers. Then don't forget to text me when you get to the mall and at home, or else I'll punch your stupid face. You nodded. I will, your dumb cheek as well. Go find some SHT to make it feel better. My grandma was a nurse, so don't worry. Does your cheek still feel like Nah, I think it got a lot better. You grinned happily, patting your cheek lightly. Whatever, dumbass, I'm leaving. Bye-bye. You waved him a goodbye as he walked away from the door. Mina and the others quickly gathered around you. Hey L/N, the alien quirked girl called you. Mina, hi. I see you and Bakugou are getting close, she teased. You laughed, blushing. Of course. We're buddies. Bakugou-kun seems to be very fond of you as well, L/N. Well, it's just probably because he worries about me a lot. You meekly explained. Mina gasped in awe. Bakugou worries and cares for you. Before he really didn't. But I guess it was just after the day a criminal attempted to capture me. So he swooped in and saved you? Jirou rose a brow. You nodded. That happened during our academic works together. What? Such a appealing romantic story. Our romantic? You stuttered. Yes, L/N. It's surprising how you could actually muster out courage to speak with Bakugou-kun, ribbit. You scratched your nape. I just badly wanted everyone to be friends is all. Besides, I guess it was out of habit since I do it a lot. You really are kind, you know, L/N. Jirou smiled, crossing her arms. You shyly laugh, brushing it off by swinging your arm. I was born that way, I guess. So what do you think of Dash? We should check on Uraraka-chan at the infirmary. She's still waiting for Midoriya-kun to wake up, right? You stood up quickly, changing the topic. Yes, Uraraka-san. Yamamoto remembered. As you and your group head out, you were lucky you haven't got yourself tangled up in a web. You couldn't answer the question Mina probably wanted to ask. Maybe it was because you do see him in a way. Your thoughts immediately stopped when you saw Midoriya outside the building. Uraraka-chan may already have. Wait, Bakugou. Your eyes traveled and stopped to the blonde boy for a moment in worry and confusion. But either way, you quickly caught up with your girls, reminding yourself to ask him about it later. Wednesday. //750. As the blonde-haired boy entered the school grounds, his eyes darted to you. Silently did he got excited, talking to you again. But that was when he scowled. He noticed that you were carrying heavy loads again. Approaching you, the boy flicked the back of your head, making you turn around. Of course, you never get angry easily, so it was unsurprising for him when you greeted him with a smile. Bakugou, good morning. I didn't notice you there. You giggled. Whatever, doll face. He grabbed the bags you were bringing, not saying a word about it, catching you off guard. Bakugou, you don't need to help me. Well, if you, because I pity your sorry butt. You puckered your lips. Are you sure? Isn't it heavy? Bakugou sighed as if it was the dumbest question you asked. I've lifted weights much heavier than these, so don't look down on me. He grumbled. I'm not looking down on you. In fact, I look up to you actually. You chirped. His cheeks warmed by your statement. Shut up, but. Why though? Isn't it obvious though? You and your quirk are both strong and you're super duper smart. What I like the best out of you is that you're incredibly independent and you believe in yourself. You genuinely explained. Clicking his tongue, he looked away, clenching his jaw, trying to prevent himself to get flustered. You sure did know how to boost a man's ego. Well, will you help me or not? You pointed the way. Of course I will, idiot. He walked away, stomping. Oi L/N-chan, what took you so long, W? A boy from General Hero's class showed up, slightly angry before jolting back in fear after seeing a wild Bakugou in their area. Yet you continued to shine with your smile. Bakugou was behind you, so it clearly showed the difference of your opposite auras. Good morning, you wanted burgers and sodas, so here. You grabbed the bag from Bakugou's hand, gently ignoring the angry expression on his face. Handing it over to the boy, he reluctantly grabbed it from you, stepping backwards. It looks like you brought company 𝐿/N-chan. The boy scratched his neck. This is Bakugou Katsuki. Yeah, I know. The boy smiled nervously. You nudged Bakugou by the shoulder, whispering, "No, hi. That's fine 𝐿/N-chan," he quickly said since you whispered audibly. He clicked his tongue, glaring angrily at the boy more. This extra doesn't deserve one. He growled, making the boy tremble, scared. There were even some of his classmates behind him that peeked outside in curiosity. And boy, were they surprised to see Bakugou together with someone as innocent and happy like you. Don't scare him like that. You slapped his chest, making others look at you bewildered. Well, you can't tell me what to do, he remarked. Behave. You pouted. Cursing profanities under his breath, he silently sent daggers to the boy. Is there anything else you need? You smiled. And no. It's fine. He showed an okay sign. You nodded before bidding him a goodbye. Both of you walked side by side again, heading towards the next classroom. You both gave coffees and donuts to the second class, to which they hesitated to receive since of Bakugou, but they did anyways. The one of the classes from the support course also felt the same way, fumbling a lot due to nervousness before grabbing their juice boxes. After that, you both headed back to your own class. That was when Bakugou struck a conversation. Don't you get up with this bullshit 𝐿/N, he rose a brow. You shook your head. Nope. Why? Because my grandparents taught me to spread kindness when others can't. Bakugou clicked his tongue. They'll see that as your weakness, sweet cheeks. I know. You fiddled your fingers before continuing. But old habits are hard to dodge. He only grunted, shrugging. You can't change the world because of that, if that is what you think you know. Oh, I'm very aware of that, but I can change someone else's, and that means a lot to me already. You grinned towards him, and he swore if it was just him, or he was struck by the sudden realization. His eyes softened, gazing longingly on you. Maybe what he realized was true, that you can change someone else's world. For instance, his changed after you came. Tuesday. // Miss Bakugou conversed with you. He excused for a bit, saying that he needed to go to the restroom. After he used the restroom, his eyes laid on two boys. One looked like from General Hero's class, who he saw yesterday when he helped you do errands. The other seemed as if it was a close friend of his. Clenching his fists underneath his pockets, Bakugou stomped towards them grumpily. But the two flinched before turning around, only to see an angry Bakugou. Their breath hitched in nervousness and in fear as they saw the Class 1A student, more specifically the one having anger issues and who topped first. They gulped before their bodies started to tremble. Why yes, Bakugou-san. Don't go around with your sorry but telling 𝐿/N what to do. And if I ever see her doing tea for you again, I'll kick your stupid face to hell. He grunted, glaring at them. The two nodded frantically, feeling their souls almost leave their body. What they still couldn't believe was the fact that a person like Bakugou would look out for you. Now, who other scumbags orders 𝐿/N to do SHT for them? After the interrogation, Bakugou made sure that you wouldn't be too tired entering class from now on. He felt overly protective of you, but he just couldn't help it. As homeroom began, Aizawa soon then began to talk. Today, I want you to do something, he declares in his usual gruffy voice. Everyone went gloomy and serious for a second, anticipating to what he would say. Would it be another surprise test? A special quiz perhaps? At least that was what filled the students' thoughts. You have to elect your class president? Aizawa says in a blunt yet deep tone. You widened your eyes in excitement. Something school-like. But the thrill of an ordinary activity hyped Class 1A, I want to be Class Republic, can I be president? Choose me. I always wondered what it would be like. I volunteer. Your classmates' voice were as loud and as lively as ever. You never imagined yourself leading the class, so you stayed put and giggled to the chain of events occurring in your eyes. That was when Ida rose up, using a loud voice as well, except that it had taken others into shame. Silence. If everyone wishes to be class rep, then I suggest a nomination. Most counted votes would be the president. You flinched a little, out of surprise, to which didn't go unnoticed to your explosive seatmate. And being protective as he always is to you, started to back you up. Oi, stop yelling. But you just yelled dash, screw off dunce face. You tried to calm Bakugou down, to which had worked, of course. Then you and your classmates' attention turned back to Ito once again. If that's all right with you, Aizawa-sensei. Just have one until the school bell rings. He replied, zipping himself onto his sleeping bag as per usual. Ida-kun even has his hand high up the most than anyone else in the class. Zero chuckled. Oh, leave him be. And so then shall the votation begin. For votes. Who voted for Shididi? You only sweat dropped knowing that you were part of the votes. You would have picked Ida, but as biased as it seems, you were much closer with Midoriya. You and Ida haven't bonded a bit more to know him better, making you trust him less. Which meant that you didn't really know much of him despite having a prestige aura. Although you stayed silent, not wanting Bakugou to burst. Which was the same to Uraraka, who whistled innocently, thinking it would be scary to have him get angry with her. Oh yeah, Midoriya's a nice pick. I agree. So it's settled? You asked. And from behind did you see Midoriya, astonished by the results, still not taking reality too well as he was trembling. There was Ida as well, who clenched his fists as he had no votes. But the deed has been done. Bakugou kept cursing and yelling at poor Midoriya. Bakugou, leave him be. You sweat dropped once more. No. And so did Midoriya became class representative while Yamamo became vice republics. Lunch came by quickly and you went along with the girls but lined up with the Deku squad. Lining up, Ida and Uraraka was from behind you while Midoriya was in front of you. You turned around wanting to talk with the blue-haired boy. Hey Ida. It was really humble of you not voting for yourself despite wanting to be class republic. You grinned, complimenting him. Ida only shrugged. I just thought that Midoriya deserves it a bit more. Considering many moments he experienced. That alone showed potential in him. Spoken like a true young and wise man. You joked. Midoriya only blushed out of Ida's compliment to him. His fumbling like a daily basis, so it didn't really bother you three a lot. Soon then you grabbed your tray, heading to the table where the girls were at. You were in between Hagakure and Mina while Yamamo, Azui, and Jairu were across. You heard your phone let out a notification, so you brought it out. Bakugou's name was the first thing you saw, making a small smile make a way towards your face. You opened your messages, chatting him via text. The explosive boy talked about how shitty Midoriya was and bringing up how Ida looked ugly out of the blue. The sudden topic about Ida made you confused and surprised, yet you only shrugged. All in all, Bakugou just talked how both were annoying when they really weren't. That was when Mina let out a long awe. You turned to your side to see her in a love-struck look. Mina. You froze on your spot, pressing your phone to your chest. Bakugou and L/N are texting each other. Continuously as well. Hagakure gasped before squealing. L/N-chan. No. It's nothing important though. What's important is how our ship sails. Mina exclaims. Yamamo and Jairu only laughed lightly. L/N does use her phone before eating during recess and lunch. Could it be that you both stop? You blushed red, stopping Tsuyu from continuing, making the girls laugh. By the distance in another table did Bakugou stare at his phone in confused frustration. You weren't texting him back, all of a sudden making the blonde boy scowl even more. Dumb shit, not replying to my messages. She better have a good excuse or else I'm kicking her, sorry, but and then yo, Bakugou, you alright? Kaminari asks. Screw off, dunce face. Stop looking down at me. Bakugou retorted, making Kirishima's sweat drop. Calm down. I was worried cause you kept mumbling curses and all. Isn't that how Bakugou always is? Shut up extra. The boy's mood only got worser. That was when his sight traveled around the cafeteria trying to find you. Kirishima glanced at Bakugou as soon as he saw him trying to look for someone. The redhead trailed his line of sight only to find the explosive boy's eyes laying on you. Bakugou saw how you were stuck in a probably embarrassing situation. Though he may not know why, he was still frustrated to know that the girls stopped you from texting him. Clicking his tongue, he muttered, "F extras stealing her attention." That was when Kirishima gasped dramatically before laughing. "So you do like her, Bakugou? Who likes who dash? Shut up, shark teeth. And mind your own F business, tape face." AMD. Before they could continue laughing, the alarm went off before an announcement was announced. Security 3 breached. Evacuate to the rooftop immediately. You and the girls stopped before raising a brow on confusion, which the same goes to the Baku squad as well. Not until students started to panic and leave. Yamamoto then gasped before standing up, catching your attention. "We need to hurry and evacuate." Security 3 in the handbook states that an unknown trespassed the school. That immediately made Mina and Hagakure stand up. Wait. Mina grabbed your hand, dragging you towards the exit while the others followed. Bakugou and the other boys also heard what the creation girl said. Thus to why they shot up as well. Sprinting to the exit, they were met with a large crowd. SHT. Where's that F doll face? Bakugou thought as a wave of worry washed over him. He too was a bit shocked of the sudden announcement. But what the boy could think of now was where you are. Not soon enough did each squad scatter due to how frantic the students were squeezing with each other. That was when Ruby Eyes spotted 𝐻/𝐶 by the distance. Knowing that it was you, he instantly shoved people away with ease as he had a built body. Then you felt a firm grip on your wrist. You turned around to see Bakugou, who pulled you near him. "Oi, dollface, stay by my side," he ordered. You faintly said his name in awe, looking up to him before nodding meekly. Of course you were shy since your front pressed against his. Considering there were a lot of people and you were already separate from the others. So being with Bakugou made you feel a bit relieved. That was when students forcefully pushed themselves more. As a result, you and Bakugou were shoved to the wall. Bakugou's hands found its way on both sides of your head, making him trap you accidentally. You both were taken aback by the newfound position that was much rather embarrassing than the last one. The blonde boy cleared his throat, looking away. "I'm sorry." You stuttered. "Screw off, doll face." Making the situation even worser, more students pushed each other, making Bakugou's body shove onto you more. Now your chest was flushed against his. Bakugou's attention averted down for a while before immediately looking away again with a much flushed face due to the guilty pleasure. And you were looking down, hoping that the stampede of students would end. Bakugou, who was surprisingly more of a gentleman to you, tried his best to extend his arms more. It was hard, forcing his arms to extend despite students shoving and pushing around. But luckily he had his arms extended enough to leave a small space in between the both of you. Just to respect you and because he was a little bit worried you may need space. It was a kind and shocking act of him to do. Especially when he did his best not to show how hard it was extending his arms. But he didn't really know what got the best out of him, so he just let out another curse word. "F extras?" Bakugou grumbled under his breath. You both even almost forgot that someone trespassed the school. Not until a familiar-looking blue head got everyone's attention. It was Ida. And his body was pressed on the wall. Soon then Ida began to speak, saying that it was only a false alarm and that there is nothing to fear since it was only media reporters. That washed a sense of relief to everyone, including you. Slowly did the group loosen, making Bakugou pull himself from you. "So, I'm tough, stampede, huh?" You laughed, trying to brush the awkward situation off. He only shrugged, acting cool. "Yeah, shitty extras can't help but get their F panties in a twist." You sweat dropped before a reminder got to you. "Thanks for looking out for me, by the way." Again. You guilty thanked him. "Oi, it's no problem saving your stupid butt. If you wouldn't have been there I knew I'd be squished too hard." You scratched your neck. You were unaware about the effort that Bakugou did, but he really didn't care. He knew that if you knew, you'd take him to the infirmary immediately, which was entirely unnecessary. But he also knew that you'd still be utmostly grateful for him, and that was more than enough for the blondie to know. Then Bakugou put his palm on top of your head, ruffling your head before resting on it for a while. That made you pout, making him smirk, thinking how cute you looked. That's not very nice of you to ruin others' hair like that, Bakugou. You scolded. His hand left your head, making you immediately try to fix it. Whatever. You'll still end up ugly anyways. He teasingly smirked. Not taking it to the heart like the cheerful person you always are, you retorted with a statement that you would say. Well, either way, I hope I'm mentally attractive. You chirped, turning your back before walking away. Knowing that there were a lot of people, Bakugou made sure to keep his smile in. He walked behind you while thoughts of you ran in his head. The positivity that radiates around you was remarkably stunning. And what you said was in fact true, you are mentally attractive. While what he said was false, he lied because he couldn't find the strength to say it out loud. You were attractive in all ways he could imagine possible. Both mentally and physically.